They want to give the Jalen Reagor to the team with the best wide receiver room in the NFL. Yeah, we'll take Jalen Reagor. Right. Yeah, it just makes no sense. And then yesterday I got this guy. And again, I'm not complaining this with the entire Eagles fan base. I got the we don't need Jessie Bates guy because Marcus Epps is ready to step up. Now, I like Epsy. I like Epsy probably more than most fans. Certainly the Eagles like him.
I do.
Jessie Bates is 25. Marcus Epps is older than Jessie Bates.
That's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. I don't get this fan base at times, and this is one of them.
Appreciate you streaming on in here to Birds 365. Feel free to like the show because Jeff Kerr's joining it. Hit that like button. Kerr's got his own little following here on the stream. They have a bunch of guys who are big Jeff Kerr fans. So, yeah, help us with our streaming numbers. Go ahead and hit that like button. If I had one, I'd hit it. Jeff Kerr, we like whenever you join us on the show. Are you ready for some football?
You know what, Jody? I've been ready for football since football season ended. So I'm not counting USFL here.
Come on. That's where I was about to go. You were excited by that Philadelphia Stars run towards the championship.
I wish they'd play in Philadelphia, which the Sixers are actually going to do. They're going to play in Philadelphia. I'm excited today, boys. The Sixers are finally getting out of being that ugly stepsister to the Philadelphia.
Well, I wouldn't guarantee that 10 years down the road, they're just trying to leverage a better deal. And we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, I mean, the Sixers have it. People complaining about, I think Josh Harrison, I tweeted this. I think he's been a terrible owner for the Sixers overall. But people who blame him for wanting out of the well, they're crazy. They're nuts. They don't understand what's going on. They've always been a second-class citizen. And let's be honest, the NBA is so much bigger than the NHL right now. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, he's got to something's got to get done for the Sixers. So I don't blame Josh Harris at all.
Kerr, aren't you a Jersey guy?
Oh no!
Yeah, bring him to Camden.
They're coming to Camden. You're not going to pay the toll to watch your Sixers.
Jeff's a Chester County guy, right? You're Chester County.
I'm actually from Works County, but so yeah, I am definitely a suburbanite, and let me tell you, I hate driving that sports complex. It is brutal. So when people tell me about traffic, I'll take any alternative. I got to take SEPTA to go to games more, so be it. But
which, by the way, that is if this building comes to fruition, it will force the city to clean up public transportation. It will actually help that part of it because many more people will want to take public transportation and they'll want to feel a little bit safer. It will force them. That is an unintended positive consequence, one of the rare ones. It will force them to clean it up.
You're betting on the city, Johnny Mac? Okay.
I saw Chester with the Philadelphia Union, Jody. They went all out with the Philadelphia Union in Chester. So I'm thinking that Philadelphia with an NBA team, they don't want that bad publicity.
There are two things I'm going to get out of this, and one of them is the WNBA team. For people who haven't seen my Twitter, I basically tweet about the WNBA almost every day and want Philadelphia to get a WNBA team. If that ever happens, as a women's basketball fan, I'm all for it. My sister and I will be jumping up and down if they ever get a WNBA team.
All right, we've gone too far afoot here.
Yeah, we've gone. WNBA. Yeah, we're going to get in trouble to talk. Although I hope Dawn Staley is the coach of that team.
Oh yeah, see, that's the thing. Dawn Staley's got to be the coach. That'd be the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
Let us reel it back into the birds. All right, we are 52 days away from the Eagles and the Detroit Lions. Yesterday, Ricky Ricardo joined us and Johnny Mac, and he said, "Oh, it's a good thing. It's a bad thing they're playing the Lions the first game of the season."
Yeah, I think you're overstating that, Jody. We said it's more difficult than it typically would be against a bad team. Not that it's a bad thing.
Are we just sure the Lions are going to be a bad team? That division sucks. I know. It's terrible.
I think the Bears might be worse. I think the Bears might be worse.
I mean, this isn't that far-fetched. You could honestly envision the scenario where the Lions could finish second place in that division. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't believe in Kevin O'Connell, and I don't know if I do, that can go drastic directions, Minnesota. But yeah, Chicago and Detroit. Oof, that's
the Eagles
tough.
The Eagles defense will be very fortunate Jameson Williams will not be playing week 1. I just don't envision a scenario where he's back on the field by week 1.
Yeah. So what I've heard from Ricky and John and Peter King too, who I have to read his column every single Monday. The Eagles are in trouble week 1 against the Lions. That's a game they could lose. Jeff Kerr. Bring them back to reality here. The Eagles are going to go into
Jeff likes the Lions.
And kick the Lions' ass the same way they did last year, aren't they?
I'm not saying the Eagles are going to lose to the Lions, but I don't like them that they're playing the Lions week 1. That's everybody's Super Bowl. The Eagles are far away.
But let me see. Maybe I can get through to you. I couldn't get through to John.
That's all I'm saying.
The Eagles have to play someone week 1 on the road, correct, Jeff Kerr?
Correct.
They have to play someone. Who would you rather play than the Detroit Lions?
That's a good question. You know what? Can they play the Houston Texans on the road week 1? Because they're terrible.
How about the Bears? How about the Giants? Those are in the
I love them playing Giants.
Oh, but wouldn't the Giants be motivated for week 1 the same way that the Lions would? Because, hey, we haven't lost any games yet. We're probably going to suck over the course of the year, but they're dangerous to play week 1. Doesn't matter who you play week 1. It's the same danger. Everybody's 0-0, and they have this overstated thought process as to the fact that they're not going to change.
You know what? I'm going to come back to you on this when Amon-Ra St. Brown has like 10 catches against his secondary. He's had 8 catches in the last 5 games. It's crazy. Like, he's on pace for an NFL record right now for most games with 8 consecutive receptions. People slept on this Lions team last year in December. They were 3-3. So they're getting better under this coach. Oh, and Aiden Hutchinson, I'm telling you, if anybody's going to make a difference for that Coors defense, it's going to be him.
All right, last thing. Jody, you hit the nail on the head. Here's the deal. The Eagles play at the Giants week 14. Their 14th is 14th game or whatever, but late, December 11th. If they played them week 1, it would be more difficult. They play Chicago the next week at Chicago. If they played Chicago in week 1, it would be more difficult. That's all I'm saying. Not that somebody else would be better to play.
We just look at it completely differently. You have to play someone week 1. Someone has got to be on the schedule week 1. You have to play someone. They don't get a bye. There's no such thing. You have to play. So whoever you're going to play on the road, week number 1, it would be more difficult to play them week 1 than it would be week 8 or week 12 or week 14.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You were conflating it into, I think there is an easier. Now, we can have that discussion. The Giants might be easier than the Lions. The Bears might be easier than the Lions. But that wasn't what I was saying. I was saying the Lions are more dangerous in week 1 than they would be in week 14. And so are the Giants and so are the Bears.
I get the point you're trying to make. Either you're not getting mine or you don't want to get mine. I'm not comparing the Lions to playing the Lions later. I'm comparing the Lions week 1 to anyone else you can play week 1 because you have to play someone week 1.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
You got to play the Lions at some point. So why would you not worry? Why would you not want to play them week 1? You got to play a tough team week 1. It's tough with everybody because nobody knows how good or bad
we're having different arguments. If you're asking me who's easier, maybe the Giants, maybe the Bears, but no, yes, that's it. It's easy. But yeah, we'll shift. We're arguing different things. But I want to shift to this because I don't want to blame Jeff Kerr, but I like to tweak you. I like to tweak you when one of your CBS guys say something. So I want to talk Jessie Bates with you.
Oh, because we got to go through this again. I've been having to listen to
this CBS. Now, it's not your fault, but I'd like to tweak you. They said the Eagles were the most likely, whoever put that together, were the most likely team to acquire Jessie Bates. They don't even have the room to acquire Jessie Bates right now. They would have to finagle some salary cap. Now, I've had my own travails this week with people trying to get rid of every player they don't want. So
we're not trading for Jessie Bates anytime soon?
Yeah, Jalen Reagor. They want to give the Jalen Reagor to the team with the best wide receiver room in the NFL. Yeah, we'll take Jalen Reagor. Yeah, it just makes no sense. And then yesterday I got this guy. And again, I'm not complaining this with the entire Eagles fan base. I got the we don't need Jessie Bates guy because Marcus Epps is ready to step up. Now, I like Epsy. I like Epsy probably more than most fans. Certainly the Eagles like him.
I do.
Jessie Bates is 25. Marcus Epps is older than Jessie Bates.
That's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. I don't get this fan base at times, and this is one of them with Jessie Bates. The Eagles have any realistic chance to get Jessie Bates?
No. No. They're not getting Jessie Bates. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But they are not. They just don't have the cap. I don't see how they can pull this off. They have the
draft capital, but they'd have to give up draft capital.
Right.
And then they have to pay the guy on top of it. Yeah.
I get Jessie Bates wants to get paid, but where's this money coming from? Like, who are you getting rid of for this to happen? Like, you would have to get rid of a Fletcher Cox, a Javon Hargrave. You're going to have to move on from somebody to create the cap space. This is what we were talking about yesterday with the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing. There's only one team that can take on his salary right now, the Cleveland Browns, fully. So the 49ers are in a pickle. So what's going to happen with Jessie Bates? Because I was looking at every team's cap space. Yeah, more teams can take him on, but it's like you said, John. Do you really want to give up the draft capital to get this guy? He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd love to have him on the Eagles. It's just I just don't see it. Like I'm just trying to think critically here. And I'm sorry. If this was March, absolutely. But we're in July now, and I feel like teams are not saying they're set, but the Eagles are more than prepared to go into the season with Marcus Epps, Jaquiski Tartt, and Anthony Harris at safety.
Agreed. And I think the key is they're not giving up a first-round draft pick. And Jessie Bates is going to command a first-round draft pick. Somebody in the league is going to give up a first-round draft pick. So if you're not willing to give up a first-round draft pick, which I don't think they are because they want the safety net of being able to go into the draft and get a quarterback if Jalen Hurts isn't the guy, you're not getting Jessie Bates. They could finagle. Howie's the best in the league at finagling cap space and doing future contracts and pushing money forward. I think they could work it out financially if they wanted to. They're just not going to have the capital. They won't give up the capital they're going to have to get them.
This is why I'm not crazy about picking destinations because just predicting this stuff because it blows up. It literally does. It's one of those, okay, let's pick a team that needs safety instead of looking at their cap space or anything like that. I remember, like, the last one I had to do for CBS, and then, again, I thought it was a really good one. And if any team could take Antonio Brown, who would it be? And we did for fun. And I only did, like, teams that were previously interested in him, like Baltimore and Seattle. And everybody said the same thing to me, which I agree with them. Why would we want him? And that's pretty much what it came down to. I'm like, I'm just going off based off your head coach's interest, how he's had workouts with. And I remember I put in a joke at the end. I said, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I said, yeah, right. Everybody got kicked out.
All those things, you're right. Basically, you just look at, okay, who needs a safety? But now we're back to, this is a positive part of it. We're back to, we had a little bit of lull. But you know how these things go. For years and years and years, when somebody became available with a modicum of a big name, the stories would come out and they say, oh, where's it most likely? And I would always joke, it's blah, 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 and the Eagles. Everybody would put, and the Eagles. Yeah. And for the most part, it's right because Howie's going to make the call and all that. We all know that he's going to do his due diligence. And you could spin it like, well, Howie made the call. Well, yeah, he's going to call about everybody. But what is the realistic aspect of it? They don't even have $12.9 million in cap space right now, the Eagles. Now, you start asking, all right, everybody wants to ship Andre Dillard, to Cincinnati. They have Jonah Williams, who was the 11th pick in the same draft. Andre Dillard was the 22nd pick. And oh, by the way, the Bengals picked up his 5th-year option. They like him. They signed Alex Kapp in free agency. They got La'el Collins after Dallas released him. They don't have a need for Isaac Seumalo. Now you can argue Derek Barnett. I'm sure they don't have a situation where they're banging down their door for Derek Barnett. Jalen Reagor, again, they have the best wide receiver group in the entire National Football League. Number one. Not even close.
Last year. Yeah. Joe Burrow is he's 4,500 yards away from being the first quarterback ever to throw for 4,500 yards. And I think it's like back-to-back or something. I forget the stat or something like that. I remember I saw it the other day.
And then you have the cheapness of the Bengals. The Bengals don't want to pick up salaries, right? They've been getting a little bit better. They pay certain guys, and they've gone out in free agency. Trey Hendrickson worked out really well for them. So they're a little bit better. They have been now that have gotten closer, but they're still not a team that wants to add salaries. They want draft picks. Period.
For those same old Bengals comments with Jessie Bates, think about this. You got to pay Joe Burrow. You got to pay Jamar Chase. You got to pay T. Higgins. You got to pay Joe Mixon got paid. But you got to pay those guys. That's what they're thinking of. That's your franchise. Jessie Bates, unfortunately, may just be a casualty of, hey, we can't keep everybody.
Yeah, they were going to pay him $12.9 million.
No, they're not. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek Barnett's going to go in and replace Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, that's happening, Eagles fans. No chance.
Or Sam Hubbard, who's also pretty good.
Exactly. All right, back to the Birds. We've talked plenty about them the last several weeks. Miles Sanders. Madden came out with their ratings yesterday for the running back position.
Oh, the humanity. The disrespect.
He's the disrespect. Favorite time of the year. It's Madden.
There are only 23 backs in the National Football League that are rated higher than Miles Sanders. Only 23 of them. If this guy isn't motivated coming into the season by his status with the Eagles, his status with his contract, his status in his ranking in the Madden League, is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing, Jeff Kerr? Is Miles Sanders going to put that big old chip on his shoulder and give us a hell of a season, or is he going to be a shrinking violet that says, I can't believe no one gives me any credit?
I don't think it takes much to motivate Miles Sanders these days. So if being ranked that low in the Madden ratings gets him fired up, so be it. I'd like to see him become the better pass catcher out of the backfield and run his routes better. I'd love to see that because I think Miles Sanders can do that. I think Miles Sanders can be a top 10 back in this league. And if you want to go into some numbers in terms of yards per touch or yards per carry, he's there. But it's the other thing, the things that don't show up that much on the stat sheet that kind of gives you that pause on him as an elite back. And I kind of see him being not that contract wise, but player performance wise. Melvin Gordon's the opposite of him though. He scores a lot of touchdowns, but the yards per carry isn't that great until the last couple of years in Denver. I think Miles Sanders is kind of like that. Only the yards per carry is really good. The explosive plays are really good running the ball, but you just don't see him find the end zone. And again, that's not his fault. I mean, the Eagles decided to give the ball to Jalen Hurts in the end zone, so be it. But I think Miles Sanders can be a top 10 back in this league. I think he can be motivated to be a top 10 back in this league. It's just the little things we need to correct. And I think that's what maybe people just don't see because we're in the fantasy football realm these days.
Now, I first of all, I don't know how Miles gets out of bed in the morning. So, Miles, if you're watching, that disrespect is just so egregious. I hope it's righted by some sort of writ of Congress. That kind of disrespect should never go on. Who gives a crap about all Madden ratings?
Did you see Jake Elliott's Madden ratings?
Can I answer that question? every player in the National Football
A
League.
lot of players do. And those players,
they
I wouldn't say every, but a lot of players do. And they're nuts, too. Every single one of them is nuts. Who gives a flying you-know-what? But I do want to say this about Miles Sanders, because you just said it, Jeff. John Clark, we had on yesterday, he said the same thing. We want to see Miles become a better receiver. He's got the opportunity. We saw it as a rookie. But why? The Eagles have Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell is a natural receiver. They want to get him up to speed for the third down stuff and the hurry up stuff. And by the way, I think they're right. Now, if injuries come into play, I'm not saying you don't want Miles to get better, but there's no way Miles Sanders, if he hits optimum level, becomes the same receiver that Kenny Gainwell is naturally. So why? Why is everyone intent? Now, the same way, I don't think there's a million years that Kenny Gainwell can become Miles Sanders as a runner. I think people are overrating that aspect of it, of his game. So to me, it's a nice yin and yang on paper. If the Eagles can get Miles Sanders to be the lead back and Kenny Gainwell to get the third down and hurry up. Why is everybody worried about getting Miles the football through the air? He's not good at it. So use the guy who's good at it.
So when the Eagles traded for A.J. Brown, one of the first people I actually thought of was Miles Sanders. I'm like, oh my God, Miles Sanders is going to have these explosive plays again because the Eagles are going to have a deep threat, and that kind of frees the run game a bit, meaning we might see more of those 50, 60, 70-yard runs from Miles Sanders again, which was really the only reason I got excited to watch Eagles games in the 2020 season, because Miles Sanders, he could break one at any time. He was the first player for the Eagles since Herschel Walker to bust 70-yard touchdown run of the year. It was incredible. And he can do that. And this is where I agree with you, John. It's if he's giving you the explosive plays as a runner, and I get it. We all want him to be a better pass catcher out of the back. I think everybody just kind of wants Miles Sanders to be the Dalvin Cook, the elite back.
Yeah,
I think
that's not happening. Yeah,
a homegrown guy
isn't happening. Yeah,
which I'm fine with Miles Sanders just busting up big runs and just being that explosive player as he is. And look, he is a yards per touch guy. He really is. He's third in the league in yards per touch since he's entered the league. It's like Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, him. It's those are the four that are always mentioned. He's a good player for this team, and I think a lot of fans realize that. I just think they want to see him become elite, and there's nothing wrong with that from a fan perspective.
Jeff, Johnny Mack told me earlier that the joint practices with the Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins might be the most fertile ground in deciding who's going to be playing when the season starts for the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess I have to wrap my head around this. I'm a little old school, can't understand. Wait a minute. A scrimmage is going to determine who gets to play for the – okay, I'll accept that. What happens if Gardner Minshew goes nuts against the Cleveland Browns? The Browns are still in that quarterback hunting position. We still don't know how many games Deshaun Watson's going to be out. A lot of reporting saying that it's probably going to be 8 now. I don't buy that. If you need me to get on the record, I'll get on the record right now. That one of two things are going to happen. If the decision comes down, he's going to be suspended for 8 games. It's either going to be an indefinite 8 games because the NFL wants to leave open the possibility that those other lawsuits could come back to bite Deshaun and the NFL in the rear end. Or number 2, Roger Goodell's just going to come in, wave his magic wand and go, no, we said a year, it's going to be a year. Sorry about that. Take it. So I don't necessarily believe it's going to be 8 games as what it seems to be as far as reporting goes now. So 8 minimum, I think more than that. They're going to want another quarterback in case, Jacoby Brissett goes down, your season's over. You told us earlier you don't think it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, trading.
What's the possibility of Gardner Minshew?
Well, here's
Would
the
the
thing.
Eagles are the Eagles at any point going to get enough of a look at Carson Strong to say, we could make him our backup quarterback and we could get ourselves a decent draft pick for Gardner Minshew? Any chance that happens?
See, it all depends. I don't think the Browns would trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, but if Jimmy Garoppolo is cut, then all of a sudden you're going to have suitors for him.
Or San Francisco picks up a bunch of the salary. That could happen as well.
Yeah, which could happen too. Yeah, I mean, but if you're Gardner Minshew's going to be intriguing though. If somebody gets hurt, or I'm sure teams will call the Eagles just like how the Eagles called Jacksonville last year. Say, hey, you don't need this guy. You got Trevor Lawrence, and I'm sure teams are going to call the Eagles. Say, hey, if you guys.
Well, here's the problem with that Jody hypothetical from the Carson. The Eagles are going to get too good of a look at Carson Strong. They're not trading Gardner Minshew. They value the backup quarterback position too much. And he's not going to Carson Strong.
And if Jalen Hurts goes down, they still have a chance to win football games with Gardner Minshew. And that's what this year's about. This year is about winning football games and taking that next level. And, let's hope Jalen Hurts doesn't get hurt. But running quarterback, he got hurt last year. It's nice to have a security blanket.
But, we were talking about Gainwell, too. Gainwell, it was the New York Jets joint practice where he convinced the Eagles that he was ready to go week 1. That's where he kind of won his job as the third down in the hurry up back. And obviously lost it in season and took a little bit of a step back. But that's where he convinced him that he could be ready to go. And joint practices are just more important than preseason games, which kind of sucks, to be honest. But,
will be determined in a joint practice. I guarantee it.
Yep.
It will. Whether it's Grant Calcaterra or Jack Stoll, that's going to be determined.
Or a player to be named later. That's a position where they might go outside the organization if they don't feel comfortable with somebody inside the organization. Now, they got a lot of bodies. And who knows when Tyree Jackson's got to be healthy. But since you brought it up at tight end, boy, that's the one spot where I go, I would not be comfortable if I had to go to my depth at tight end. Not at all. I mean, that could be really bad.
I had to do my 3 position battles to watch for the Eagles. Number 2 tight end, I only had to pick 3. And number 2 tight end I omitted because obviously with right guard and what's going to happen at linebacker and how's the receiver depth chart going to play out. But I'm like, who is going to be the number 2 tight end? It's a fair question here. And like you said, John, could it be someone? I'll tell you what, Kyle Rudolph would have been a nice signing for the Eagles. It would never happen because it wasn't considered. And it looked like he was going to go to the Bucs for a couple weeks now. But that would have been a very ideal situation for Philadelphia.
Let me ask you about Kyle Rudolph, because I was a fan when he was in Minnesota. I said I thought it was a pretty damn good signing for the Giants last year because I'm not a big Evan Ingram guy. So I thought he was going to be a guy who could actually help them this past year. I don't watch the Giants down in and down out. Maybe go back and watch the all 22 afterwards. He didn't put up much numbers last year. He wasn't all that productive for the Giants. And I get it. It's Daniel Jones we're talking about here. But does he have anything left in the tank? I know Brady is the kind of guy who elevates players and makes them better. Kyle Rudolph really going to help them and help them forget Gronk?
I think that ankle injury really played a role in how bad of a pass catcher he was last year. I think with Cameron Brate and Kyle Rudolph, that's a good 2 tight end set. I think it's going to be fine. I mean, obviously, he's not Gronk. Gronk's one of the greatest tight ends of all time. But it's going to be a nice signing for them. And if they want to run the football, if they want to go to Leonard Fournette or the rookie, I always forget the guy's name, White, the rookie running back, he's going to replace Ronald Jones there. So it's going to be nice when they try to run the ball because Kyle Rudolph still is a good blocker. I still think he's got a couple years left in this league because he's a good blocker. But they needed this. They lost O.J. Howard. Gronk isn't coming back. And it just seemed like Kyle Rudolph was basically on speed dial just in case Gronk wasn't coming back. And I just kind of like the fit in that system, in their offensive system with Byron Leftwich. I think they'll be fine there. I think he'll be fine in Tampa.
The good thing about Kyle Rudolph is he was slow when he was fast. So he doesn't, but he's got great hands, man. He used to wear those, I guess they're gold but they look yellow gloves when he was on Minnesota. He looked like Mickey Mouse out there. His hands are so big.
By the way, I know we say this about a lot of people, but Kyle Rudolph really is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Oh, he's tremendously really great hands. So I think, he's a backup tight end, but I think he's a good backup tight end. It's interesting that you bring up Kyle because I think he's 32. 32. And the bigger aspect of that to me is, like, where are the Eagles? Should they be considering players like that? Are they close enough to where you should be bringing in 32-year-old players or hoping Grant Calcaterra can play at 22? What's better for this team in the situation they're currently in?
I don't think it hurts to bring in competition. Look, you sign a one-year deal. If they're not good enough, then if the 22-year-old beats them out, so be it. But I wouldn't mind to see Grant Calcaterra get a shot at this number 2 tight end job. And I think he's going to have every opportunity to do so. But it never hurts to bring in a veteran. I mean, look at the Marcus Epps, Anthony Harris situation. It's you bring in Jaquiski Tart, he's going to challenge both of them. He's going to challenge Kayvon Wallace. I have no problem with that. And again, Jaquiski Tart also isn't 32 years old. But, the Eagles did this when they were contending for a lot of years under Andy Reid. They were bringing one of these guys and to challenge their young players. And it actually kind of helped the young players in the long run because they got to see from those veterans, the Levon Kirklands of the world, I guess, or the Antonio Freemans. And those guys were productive players for a really good football team. And if the Eagles feel they're a really good football team, why not bring in a guy like that?
All right, Jeff Kerr, last one for me, and it's one of my favorites, a football hypothetical. And I'll readily admit I'm asking it with tongue somewhat implanted in cheek. We know what wide receiver 1 for the Eagles is. We know wide receiver 2 is, or 1 or 1A, however you want to describe Devontae and A.J. Brown. Who is wide receiver 3? John and I have pushed this around a little bit. Everyone believes it's going to be Quez Watkins, but it could be Zach Pascal. Yeah, the coach is a big Zach Pascal fan.
It's a better offense. It's Zach Pascal playing in the slot.
Understood. And then you have that Jalen Reagor guy who was a first-round draft pick, only 2 years removed, and we don't know exactly how he fits into the picture. What happens in that joint practice in Berea, Ohio, when Greg Ward catches 8 balls, 3 of which go for touchdowns? What happens to the Eagle wide receiver room, Jeff?
And he returned punts, Jody. That's what's going on. And that is
he can catch it. That's a big thing, ball security. If you don't have an explosive returner, you want somebody who's at least going to catch the football and not create.
I guarantee you the Eagles are probably telling Devin Allen, get ready to catch some punts and get ready to return some punts because that's going to
I don't know. I think Britton Kobe's your punt returner. I think Devin Allen's more.
That might be the sneaky one. And, when I wrote about the wide receiver depth chart, I'm like, okay, where does Greg Ward fit in? Where does this guy fit in? And, I'm assuming the Eagles are going to keep 6 guys because of the tight end situation. So you got Pascal, Watkins, they're locks, obviously Brown and Devontae are locks. So 5.
I think Greg Ward might hang on. Yeah. I think he might hang on.
It's crazy. And I wouldn't mind Greg Ward on this team. It's like you said, Jody, he does catch the football. When he plays, I mean, you can't do any worse with a number 5 wide receiver in this league than Greg Ward.
I'm a charter member of the Greg Ward.
He's a good teammate. He's a hard worker. He's got ball security as a punt returner.
He's a leader too. I like him. I always compare him to like Captain America before he became Captain America. Like he's the little guy, the guy you want to root for. He could do this all day. That's Greg Ward. That's why
if that's the case, and I hope you're both right. Who's Jalen Reagor landing with?
Yeah, I mean, if Jalen Reagor's here, if they're not cutting Jalen Reagor, so if they can't trade him, he's going to be here. That's Does anybody want the reclamation project? I don't know. I mean, how can you answer that question? If somebody liked him in the draft, maybe they say to themselves, "We can fix this kid." Because I do think
I don't think Baltimore's ready to close the door on a Jalen Reagor reclamation project.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
I mean, there's this revisionist history, and you guys know it's never true. Like the Eagles are so dumb and they pick Jalen Reagor. Look, if the Eagles didn't pick Jalen Reagor, he was going 24, 25. Yeah. I mean, there are other teams in this league that like Jalen Reagor. You got to tap into that and see if they want to try a reclamation project. But they're not going to cut him. I mean, there's no.
Well, but then do some roster crunching for me. If they're not cutting Reagor and you think Greg Ward's going to make the team, how the hell do you keep a Colby or an Allen?
I said Greg has a chance to make the team. It becomes more difficult if Jalen Reagor's still here.
I'll say this:
if Jalen Reagor gets traded, I think he's going to make the team. I think he's still a long shot if Jalen Reagor remains. I think Kobe is a long shot, very long shot. I think Devin Allen is, Devin Allen's going to be on the practice squad unless he's going back to track. I don't even think he's in the equation.
Well, he can do both technically. It's not out of the realm to do both.
No, yeah.
They do a world championship next year, so he does have a chance to make this up, make up that egregious false start. By the way.
Yeah, I don't know enough about track and field, but I do think it's ironic that they use this technology that can pick up things. I put this on Twitter as well. They can pick up things the naked eye can't see. And in the NFL, which is a $13 billion industry, we got part-time employees making the biggest calls with index cards to see if there's a first down. They don't use technology, so Devin Allen can at least rest assured for that.
I say this all the time. I have went for 300 games in bowling. I've been in clutch golf tournaments over the years. Not that I'm a good golfer, but I was in scrambles and I had to make key putts. I ran track till 10th grade. Nothing was more stressful than a 100-meter final in anything. Nothing. My palms were sweating like crazy at that start line. I couldn't wait for that gun to fire. I was so antsy. I'm like, oh my God, like I played football games. Like, dude, why am I sweating so much? Because like this start is everything. If you don't start well, you're done. And I remember being so furious when I had a bad start. Like, not like I was going to win the race, but I'm like, that time is terrible. This is terrible. What do I got to do to get better? Like, same for relay. I started a relay. That is the most nerve-wracking thing. Your palms are sweating. You're holding a baton. It's something else. I don't know how those guys do it.
Well, you can beat the start like Devin Allen did. Oops, sorry, that got him disqualified.
False start. Get used to it. Get used to it early in the season.
Not a false start when we bring Jeff Kerr on here on Birds 365. JK, good stuff. As always, appreciate it. We'll get back to you in just a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, guys. Hey, training camp starts Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be earlier than that. Rumor has it, but we'll see.
We shall see.
Put out their schedule.
JK, we'll certainly be in touch. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.